Hey everyone. Looks like it's just about noon at the East Coast, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Today's webinar is all about prospecting, the best tools, the best strategies, and the best tactics you can implement to generate leads and close more deals. So our sales and HubSpot experts today, Leah and Zach, will be going through tools you can use like HubSpot, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and Lead IQ to prospect and close more deals with smarter sales automation. So Zach, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, do you want to mention the Q&A piece? If they have questions, they can throw that in the
Yeah,
chat.
so Zach and Leah will be sharing their screens and demoing a lot of the tools, but we will have a quick Q&A round at the end, but feel free to drop in your questions throughout the presentation, and I'll do my best to monitor them and bring them up to Zach and Leah as we move through.
Amazing. Thank you. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is the ultimate prospecting weapon. This is part one. We want to talk about tech-driven lead generation using HubSpot and a couple tools already mentioned. Let's start with an intro. So I'm Zach Irish. I'm a solutions consultant here at Flawless. I've been in the HubSpot ecosystem for about 8 years, and I focus on getting to know your business and designing a solution that maximizes your ROI, whether that's with HubSpot or other tools. We have Leah on the call.
Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. So glad everybody could be here with us. So as Zach mentioned, my name is Leah Green. Nice to meet everybody. I am the account executive here with Flawless Inbound. I have been in the HubSpot ecosystem for 2 years now and 9 years in SaaS sales. And I am here to be your selling expert today.
Yeah, great. So we'll jump into our agenda. So we've already done the introductions. So we'll get into the actual webinar now. We're going to start in HubSpot. We're going to focus on leads, companies, contacts, specifically within the HubSpot Sales Hub. We'll jump over with Leah into prospecting with the LinkedIn Sales Navigator and Lead IQ. Then we'll come back into HubSpot. We'll utilize tasks and sequences to maximize our outreach. We'll touch a little bit on reporting at the end, and then we'll have open Q&A. So put the questions in the chat or in the Q&A, and we'll get started here. So we'll start with our scenario, kind of leading the webinar here. Imagine a scenario. I'm the RevOps manager, sales manager, kind of back-end piece of our organization here. Leah is going to be our account executive. In this scenario, we're going to give Leah 25 target accounts. Leah is going to use prospecting tools to research these accounts, find key contact points, and engage them effectively. She's going to use HubSpot Sales Hub, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and Lead IQ. We're going to take these cold opportunities and turn them into, cold accounts, turn them into warm opportunities. Our objectives: find key decision makers, personalize our outreach, and then let's be as automated as possible to maximize our efficiency. Okay, Leah, let's talk a little bit about just prospecting in general. Outdated way versus today, how we're going to walk through this.
Yeah, so, as we have out here, then versus now, in my 9 years of SaaS sales, I remember the early days of my career in the old ways. I had all these different disparate systems, multiple tools, just a lot of inefficiencies. And I found when I had to prospect, it took me hours upon hours of searching through, random databases of names, information, company lists. And it took me forever to find the right contacts. I was never really able to find the right information. I kind of had to hope and pray that their contact info that was in our database was still up to date and was still correct. 9 times out of 10, it wasn't. So it was really hard back then for me to actually really effectively prospect. And, I really kind of felt like I was basically playing darts blindfolded. There was nothing, intensive or strategic about it. And, here we are, fast forward to the modern way, and we're able to prospect much faster. I'm able to be a lot more precise, more strategic in my approach, as opposed to, the old ways. And having the automation at my fingertips, it makes it a lot more efficient, a lot more effective. I'm able to find the right contacts, not only faster, but I'm able to find like the exact people that I want to reach out to. And I'm really able to find those decision makers and those champions and also find, key information and insights about them, leveraging what's available to us now to give me a really good reason to reach out to them and why I'm adding value and giving them a reason to want to have a conversation with me. And, I had this great leader once upon a time in my career who used to ask me at the end of every quarter, if I succeeded, was it by design or by fluke? And I found the outdated way, it was kind of more by fluke. I always had to work 10 times harder. Whereas when you flip to now, what we've got at our fingertips at the moment, it gives us the ability to shorten our sales cycles. I'm able to grow larger deals, better results, and I can actually pinpoint and have more control over where am I successful, why am I successful, and really have more control over that overall. So I found that the new way is just night and day. It's a game changer for us.
Yep, absolutely. So let's walk through it. Let's jump into HubSpot right now. So we're going to start here in HubSpot. We're in a company view. So HubSpot Sales Hub, very powerful tool for us here. We're in our demo account, so you may see some data in here. It's all made up with the exception of Equinox, which is going to be our guinea pig for this example here. So please ignore anything you see in here. How we're going to do it for the demo, everything's going to be manual. We're going to manually create companies, manually create views, manually bring data over. In a live portal, a live instance, we'd have all of this automated, all of this integrated. So I have here all companies. I've already made a company view, and a company view allows us to save specific columns here. So at a quick glance, I can focus in on state, region, industry, if that's important to me, and I can save filters here. So I've picked out 24 companies. I want to hand these over to Leah. Let's imagine in this scenario, we know our target demographic. So we've uploaded these companies. We want to prospect. We want to have deals here, but we don't know who to contact. And that's what Leah is going to walk us through today. So I'm going to assign all of these directly over. Leah will get a notification of this. How we could have done this and how we would do this live or workflows in the back end, where maybe we're round robin, assigning out companies to our sales reps, maybe inbound leads. They are assigned based on state region. So there is a way to automate this. This is just for our demonstration here. So I've assigned the leads. Leah has the notification. Leah, you ready to take over and go to the company level?
You know it. All right, let me share my screen here. Thank you, Zach, for that amazing tee-up. So, can everybody see this okay?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing, perfect. So fast forward, imagine Zach's assigned me these leads, these target accounts. I've seen Equinox as my number one. Okay, I want to start my time block here. And just to preface, time blocking is key. So let's say, for example, right now is my 1 hour, 2 hour prospecting block in my calendar on, let's say, a Monday morning or a Monday afternoon. This is going to be my research block. So in this research block, I want to be able to use every moment, every second of this time as efficient and effectively as possible. So here we are. I'm on the company record. I've opened up Equinox. They're number one on my list. Now, I want to be able to get as many insights as possible to this specific organization to give me a reason of why I'm reaching out to them. HubSpot calls it show me, you know me. And what that means is you want to actually pay attention to what's going on in the organization, what matters to them, what's happening, any key events. Let's say, for example, you want news about getting a Series B funding, or somebody has a new hire, or they've got a brand new president of the company, brand new CEO that they stole from XYZ other company. And they go through an entire reason being that they have a huge, massive growth goal, and this person's going to help them. Well, if you have those insights already on the organization, you're going to be able to understand the goals of the org as a whole. So as Zach had mentioned, we have this here only set up for our demo data, so it's not linked up live. But when you've got the Breeze intelligence built into HubSpot, Breeze is going to be pulling in so much additional data and being able to fill you in from all these different company profiles, all these different areas that it pulls from, in terms of any news, any new insights. If maybe a company was pre-IPO, they've just gone public, you're going to get all those insights populating into here and sending you notifications when you've got the Breeze intelligence set up within your system.
Wait, can you walk through an
Another thing,
example of that? So what's a notification you have set up right now? And then what would be the point of getting that notification?
so as I was mentioning about any mentions in the news, I actually have one of my target accounts set up with Breeze in my Reel portal. And what it does is it sends me notifications in emails and in within the portal itself saying, XYZ company was mentioned in the news. XYZ company just hired on a new VP of sales. XYZ company just posted this on their LinkedIn page. Or they just posted a new blog, or XYZ company just got Series B funding. So it actually sends me notifications that I get on the fly so that I'm not always finding out new insights later on. Let's say, for example, if I don't come back to check out what's happening within Equinox until maybe next Monday or next Wednesday, a week from today, what if something happens tomorrow and I have the opportunity to strike while the iron's hot, leverage, speed to market, right? Speed is always of the essence. It gives me the opportunity to reach out immediately and maybe go in and have the opportunity to generate a conversation that had I waited, I might have missed that opportunity.
Yeah, that's great.
So over here on the right is where if we had everything connected the way that we should and the way we do in our regular portal, you're going to be able to see access to their sales navigator immediately here automatically. You're going to be able to see if there's any contacts already in here that it's been able to pull. If maybe there's been any deals, let's say, for example, a previous rep or someone else had maybe had something going with them to give you a reason to reach out, something you can mention. You're going to see all of that over here. But let's say, for example, we want to pretend that I've got this brand new company assigned to me as a new target account, and I've got to go in and find my contacts. Well, what's that look like? So here we go. We're going to get into the world of Sales Navigator. Now, keep in mind, I don't work for LinkedIn. I don't work for Lead IQ. So if there's specific functionality or pricing questions on those, I would direct you to them directly. But I just like using these tools, and I'll get into why. So here we go. We have our main screen here. So you're going to see anything already pulled in that you've set up based on what's in your own LinkedIn profile. So because I've already gone in, created a book of business here, I've already uploaded my account list, say from HubSpot, based on the accounts, the target accounts that Zach had sent me. I've already done the synchronization, the integration there. So they're already showing up. So they've got the ability to research with AI. We can see what that does a little bit later. But for now, I want to stick to the basics. So I've already got them listed in a target account list. So I'm going to go in here. I only added a couple people for demonstration purposes, but this is going to give you kind of that great bird's eye view. You've got your account here. You can see how many connection paths there are, what's their buyer intent, their category intent. These are all things that you can set up yourself based on number of employees, what kind of products you want them to be interested in, depending on what you're selling. So for myself, I've maybe put in marketing resource management software, customer relationship management software. Let's say, for example, you're in an ERP system and you want to add that in. So you're going to find out if these potential prospects have maybe the intent or any signals that they're showing based on that. You're going to see this right in here. Any alerts, let's say, for example, this Morella here, she recently posted on LinkedIn. I'm going to see that right away. Over here, I've got lead recommendations where it tells me, here's Gretchen. She was a recent new hire. I might want to go check out what she's doing and, see a little bit more about her role, what her standpoint is, any insights I can get on her, just depending on if she's going to be my targeted persona. Now, going in directly into this. So I can actually create lists within my LinkedIn based on this. So I'm going to go into my target accounts. I've got the Fontainebleau here. Perfect. But that's not who I want to look at today. So I'm going to go back. Let's go into Equinox directly. Now, here we've got all the insights right here in front of us where we can actually find all the employees, all the decision makers, based on whatever our personas are. If I actually want to create new personas, I want director level, whatever their role is going to be, I'm going to put those all in here. And that way it's going to pull up, say, all the director levels that I'm looking for. Joe here is an example, VP of Growth Marketing and CRM. He might be somebody that I'm interested in leveraging as one of my key contacts. I've saved him over here. We might look at the president. He might be a little bit too high up. I don't necessarily want to target him. Now down here, we've got Todd, Vice President of Content. He's going to be somebody that I want to speak to. And Marilla, our Director of CRM and MarTech. She is definitely going to be one that I want to be able to reach out to. I can already see here, I've got some mutual connections with these individuals, which is great. You maybe have the ability to ask for a warm intro from one of these mutual connections, a recent post on LinkedIn. You can kind of see what content she's putting out there, what's she talking about, etc. So let's open her up as our example. What can we see just on the sidelines here? We've got some basics, but we want to actually look at her profile. Now, this is key. I'm going back to show me you know me. So we're going to go through and we're going to see all the insights here on her role, anything in her bio, etc., anything that might stand out. So for example, she's been in her role for 1 year, 2 months. So she's just over a year in. So why is that relevant? Why does that matter? Well, if you've got someone in her level who's, their first year in, think about what matters to them. So they've now been there just long enough to understand the landscape. They've now kind of figured out what works, what's not working, what can we do better. She's now been able to identify what are potential challenges that she wants to solve for. And she's really been able to dive deep into seeing what's there presently and understanding where do we want to go? What do I want to be putting in place for us for this upcoming year? So this is the perfect timing for her, for someone like, ourselves to reach out. Then I want to look into any pieces of information here that might, pop out. Like I said, show me you know me. So things like driving MarTech initiatives, optimizing the integration between, say, Salesforce Marketing Cloud, Braze, and systems like her Simon's Data. Now, she wants to ensure seamless campaign execution. So me being in the HubSpot world, thinking from my own lens, I look at this and I think, imagine what, how seamless her campaign execution could be if she wasn't having to use all these disparate systems and she was able to actually work within one main system, one main platform, one platform to rule them all. So that gives me a reason right there, a nugget of info as to why I'm going to reach out to her and different insights, providing some additional value to see if she'll have a conversation with me. Looking up through this here, I might see the fact that she works across cross-functional teams. She's got different initiatives where she's working with product, data, engineering teams. She wants to work, across the board. So that also tells me that being in the HubSpot ecosystem, let's say I have the opportunity to speak to her about how clean is her data with Operations Hub. We want to look at, customer success with Service Hub, etc. Now that's me being in the HubSpot ecosystem. But if you think about how it relates to yourself, and whatever platform, whatever services you are selling, you want to be able to match potential challenges or where you see opportunities to your solution. And you're going to find the best ways of doing that by getting the insights from all this, these different points of information that are available right within her profile. Even in here in the About section, you're going to see a lot about her. So things like she's done a lot of speaking. She's done a lot of awards. She's got all these accomplishments listed here. So maybe you want to use something like that in your outreach. Hey, I noticed you won the top 50 women speakers in 2019. Congratulations. That's amazing. Would love to hear more about that, how you accomplished that. Maybe talk more about her GTM plan and how she launched this new subscription service, Zinio. Amazing. Tell me about that. How was that? What did you find worked for you? Would love to learn more. You know, it's just finding pieces of information that give you a reason to reach out. And it really shows this person that you took the initiative, you put in the time and the effort to get a better understanding of them, get to know them a little bit more, and you've done your research. So you've already established your credibility as a potential partner when you're looking to build a relationship. So we've already found our pieces of info that we want to highlight. We found our key contacts. Perfect. But how do we get their actual information when I want to reach out to them? So this is where I pull Lead IQ. Now, I like to use this in Google Chrome because they have this amazing little plugin here. And what it does is it'll just pull up, as you can see on the side of the screen, right on the sidebar. And it is just great because what this does for me is now I can actually find link to her profile. It's pulling the information directly out of there. And I can see you've got her profile information there, but you can look down, see her work email, her phone number, if there's a work phone number, you know, her social profiles, you know, her locations, any information like this. Now, in our regular portals, if we have this all integrated and synchronized properly, unlike in our demo portal today, you can actually hit capture here at the bottom, and it will then enter all of your contact information directly into your HubSpot. So you don't even have to go back and forth between screens, between platforms. It'll automate that for you. And if you think about how many times a day you're going back and forth, copy, paste, click, 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 how much time do you think you're wasting doing that each time? Whereas if you have this all connected and integrated together, it really kind of puts it and sets it up for you like a well-oiled machine and as your prospecting weapon. So I've now found her proper information. I'm going to go back over to HubSpot and let's go into her actual contact here. So I pulled up Morella and I'm going to go in and now I want to put in all of my research. So I'm going to use the notes section. Now, what I'm able to see right here, I've added in all of her contact information. It's been populated here along the left. On the right, I can see if there's been any deals, what companies is associated with, any subscriptions, anything like that. Any information that I need is going to be on this column. But in the center, this is really going to be my bread and butter. So if there's been any activity, if there's been any emails back and forth, any calls, any other meetings, say prior, that will start to populate, it will be in there. But right here in the notes section, that's where I want to put my research, and I'll show you why. So I've actually gone in here and I've put in a link directly to her Sales Navigator page. Now that's for when I want to make the in-mail, send her an in-mail and a direct message right there. I want to be able to pull her up quick and easy. I don't want to have to be searching back and forth between systems. I want to be able to just do it all efficiently from one platform. So I've copied and pasted this myself. I've put in all these different pieces of info that I want based on what was in her profile, and I've saved that in. Now, what I've also done is on the actions button here, I've actually pinned this so that every time I come into her contact page, if I'm going to reach out to her, whether it be through cold calls, whether I'm now adding her into an email sequence, we'll show you what those look like shortly, or if I'm going to do any other kind of outreach, I can easily just pull her up, find any additional pieces of information here. Let's say, for example, I want to highlight one when I'm doing a phone call. I want to highlight a different piece of information when I'm sending her an email. Maybe I'm doing a follow-up call and I want to pull something else, another talking point. Everything is right in front of me at my fingertips. I don't even have to think about it. I don't have to go searching for information. I'm not bouncing back and forth between multiple systems, multiple screens. Everything's in front of me and it's at the top at all times. So from here, I can actually set a task for myself where I now want to add her in to a queue. So I'm going to go into my task portion here just to kind of show you what this looks like. So similar to how you had different views, we can actually set up different views for your tasks. So let's say, for example, with prospecting, I want to be able to break things up in my time blocks. And this is where maybe I want to have 2 hours on Tuesday and I'm doing completely target accounts. maybe 2 hours on Wednesday, and I'm doing all of my existing clientele that are cross-sell, upsell opportunities. Maybe on a Thursday, I'm doing 2 hours for close lost opportunities to see, hey, did something change? What's going on now, etc. Well, I can create different buckets and add these different contacts as I'm prospecting, doing all of my research the same way for each contact, each company. I'm going to be able to add all these proper contacts that I want to reach out to into their associated buckets. Now, for today's purposes, I've just got LG prospecting Q1. This one's going to be for my targeted accounts. Now, here I've got this set up. So I've got my first call, because I'm going to start my cold calling next week, or I'm going to start my cold calling for these tomorrow, whatever it is. I've got these already preset for me, all in this exact same queue. Super easy to do. I'll show you how we can create one.
Leah, we've had a question come through if you want to answer.
Yeah, of course.
A viewer asked, you mentioned Lead IQ to get contact info for prospects. What do you think of other tools out there like Zoom Info or LinkedIn Sales Navigator?
So my thoughts on that, just in my own personal experience, I've used it with Zoom Info before, and I do find there are great things about it. But for me, myself, I've found a lot of the times Zoom Info might have outdated contact info. In the sense that, let's say if I looked up myself, it might still have me listed as 2 companies ago, 3 companies ago, way further in my career. And I might not necessarily have the right data that's accurate for today's. Whereas I've found that every time I've used Lead IQ, I get their current information. That's not to say there's anything wrong with Zoom Info. I just personally found that Lead IQ for myself was much easier to use. You can use whatever you like, however you like to stack it. But that's just kind of been my experience. I find a lot of outdated data in Zoom Info as opposed to Lead IQ.
And additionally, in LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you can get phone numbers and email addresses for some of the contacts, but that's typically not tied to their company. And so if you're prospecting, you want to get at their company, you want to get to their cell phone, or in this case, Mariella's Equinox email rather than her Gmail. So LinkedIn is probably from their account, whereas Lead IQ and Zoom Info would find their company-based information.
I hope that answers it. Was there anything follow up to that?
Oh, I think that answered it. Yeah, no follow-ups.
Perfect. So then I'll get back to the tasks before I flip it over to Zach. So why this is important is that it keeps you organized, and it really allows you as a sales rep. Not only have you done this great pre-call research, this great contact research, great company research, you know who you're reaching out to, you know why you're going to reach out to them, you know what kind of value you're going to bring to see if they'll have a conversation with you. But then how do you stay organized and keep yourself on track and remain surgical at all times so that you're not just shooting, fish in a barrel and whatnot? So I'm going to keep myself organized, leveraging the tasks function here. So let's say I want to do my first call. And I know that my target accounts are done on Fridays. And I know that I always start them at 9:30 after I've had the opportunity to get all my morning follow-ups done. You can set them however you want to. You can choose, like, do I want a reminder to send it to me at the time, 30 minutes before, an hour before, a day before? You can go on and do this customized how you want to, but you can put your reminders. Now, in my to-dos, I can put, to keep myself on track. Am I emailing this person? Am I calling them? Am I sending a connection request this time? Doing a sales navigator in mail, etc. Because of course, we always want multiple touch points. So this one's going to be a call. This is going to be my first cold call to this person. But what's the priority level? So I want to know that this one's hot. This is a high priority for me. Now, I talked about queues because I want everybody to stay organized and in their own buckets. And I know that I'm splitting up my time and blocking out my calendar to split things up so that I'm doing the equal amount of work to each bucket. So LG prospecting Q1, as we saw in the tasks, I want to add them to that same queue. If there's any notes, call, mention, latest post on LinkedIn. I didn't actually look yet to see what she talked about, but hey, I could mention I saw your post. wanted to reach out, say hello, would love to have a conversation about XYZ. So I'm going to create this.
So a question on these tasks, Leah, and as you're
Yeah.
walking through this process, you've mentioned time blocking. When you do your time blocking, is this 2 hours? We're in this 2 hours. I'm just doing research and I'm setting up background and creating these tasks so that on Friday, I'll just make all of my calls and you're segmenting those activities.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And, if you've ever heard anyone talk about the differences between like really being focused with your work and with your time and actually separating out, okay, 2 hours, this is the only thing I'm doing. I'm not paying attention to anything else. When you're switching between tasks, it actually takes you twice as long to do, and you're a lot less efficient than you are if you're focused. So things like I'll block off, say, an hour a day, and I'll do all my research on, say, the Monday, or maybe it'll be 2 hours. You can do it to whatever suits you, right? So as we were saying, 2 hours, I'm going to do all my research in one day so that I'm done for the week. All my different prospecting buckets are full. All of my contacts are pre-researched. Everything's in there for me. That way, when say Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or even including Friday, if you're going to do 5 days a week for it, you have everything prepped and ready so that you can just fire off on all cylinders and reach even more people. You'll be even more effective, more efficient in your outreach. And that way, you could potentially have 10 meetings versus 5. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So this screen right here, this is the Friday day of, and you're ready to roll through all of your calls. And for a demo, we have 3 here, but you'd probably have way more than that on like a
Of course.
Friday.
Of course, of course. And so because we've got, just these few here, using tasks, it makes it really easy for me, as we mentioned, being able to just fire off on all cylinders. As I'm doing my cold calling, if I just want to go say start 4 tasks, it takes me directly to their contact page here. And do you remember when I noted earlier why I pinned the research at the top? So as I'm going through and I'm making all my calls, I don't have to go looking for my information. Let's fast forward, say 2 weeks from now. If you started having conversations, there's been emails going out, there's been different calls, everything's going to populate in here. So every time you're doing an outreach, you're going to have to go searching and scrolling down even further just to find this. If you keep this pre-call research up top, pinned right in the center, you always are able to find your research. You've got different nuggets of information. You can pull whichever one you want to speak on that day, whichever one is going to give you a reason to reach out, anything you want to touch on. But everything is always going to be at the top at your fingertips. Over here to the left, you're going to be able to see, hey, I can see what this person's role is. What's their phone number that I'm going to be calling out to? Perfect. Everything is right in front of me. Surgical. Now we can actually call right from within the product so that, like I mentioned earlier, there's no going between systems. Nobody's going back and forth, switching between multiple screens. You're just working within one system. A lot more efficient, a lot more effective. So being a demo portal, obviously I don't have my actual phone number set up in this one like I do in my live portal, but this just kind of gives you a sense that you're able to then log all your calls and log all of your information in here, make your calls right from within portal. Now, fast forward to that. When I'm done this, I can actually complete this task, hit next, automatically pulls up the next one. So if you think about if you're cold calling, think about what that looks like in the old ways. I used to have to go through and either tab them out, go between all the different screens, the different tabs, et cetera, going between my different systems. There are hardly words for how much time I used to waste going back and forth. Whereas this, I'm just able to go one, then the other, then the other, then the other. All my call research is right here in the center. I've got all these different pieces of information here. Anything I want to pull on. Hey, I see you're great with building strong relationships with internal, external stakeholders. You're always looking to achieve superior results. Perfect. How are you doing that today? What's that look like today? Would love to have a conversation around what you're using, what's working for you. However you want to put it out there. But this just makes it really easy and simple to go through, make those calls. You've started and set up your set up for success from the beginning so that you've done your company research. you've done your individual research, you found your right contacts, you've got all those nuggets of information right in there. And now you're actually able to start executing. Going on, it just keeps one by one by one. And that's kind of how your tasks are really able to keep you in line, keep things simple and easy in terms of the execution when you're cold calling. But then when your cold calls are done, we all know there's never going to be just one touch point. You always want to have multiple touch points before someone will actually set a meeting with you, have a conversation with you, etc. And that's where things like email sequences come in handy. And with that, I'm going to hand this over to Zach to walk us through that.
Yes. So we're in our demo portal. So we don't have our email addresses connected. So I can't walk through actually putting someone in a sequence, but I can walk through the back end of what a sequence is and what we're doing. So as Leah mentioned, for our current scenario in our sales process here, we want that first touch point to be Leah calling them. So Leah is going to automatically do a call. She's manually making that task. She needs to do the research beforehand. That's why we have that process set up. We could have an automated process where we put them in a sequence and maybe there's a first email, or maybe that first sequence step creates a task automatically for Leah. So we can do this at scale. With HubSpot Sales Pro, we can automate 500 emails per day. And these emails come directly from Leah's address to this contact. This is not a marketing email. This is one-to-one communication. With Sales Hub Enterprise, we can do 1,000 emails per day. So what that looks like, say Leah called, left a voicemail, and now wants the automation to take over. Leah has a new batch of leads for the next week, but we still want to entice this contact to interact. And once we have some interaction, maybe then Leah takes over manually, but some sort of automation to keep the sales process going. If we had our email connected, we could click enroll in sequence, pick the sequence and drop them directly in. Yeah, we're not connected, so we can't do that. So let's go on the back end. Let's talk more about what sequences are and what that process would look like. So sequences are built off of a set of steps for either emails or tasks. And those tasks could be calls, manual email tasks. We also have an integration with Sales Hub Navigator, so it could be InMail as well. And there's a couple other steps we could do, but the basis is really email. So we'll first start with email templates, and then we'll build out our steps. And so for our demo today, I have 3 templates here. The templates, we can customize our subject line. We can pull in personalized tokens, so information on that contact. So this is where Leah's talking about show me you know me. Use their first name. Use information you have from them. Write copy that pulls in insights from their company. So stuff we've already enriched from Breeze or information we've pushed over from Sales Navigator that shows we know what they're doing, and plug it in. When we enroll people in sequences, we can always add more information. This would just be the basis of our email. I've also included a booking link. We can include images and other links, more personalized tokens, any piece of data we have on that contact or their company, we can put into our emails. So we have our 3 emails. We want to put them into an actual sequence. So we're going to jump to sequences. There are 2 types of sequences. HubSpot traditionally has a classic sequence, which you outline step by step and what timeline you want something to happen. So this is a classic sequence we built. It's those 3 emails we had there, the 3 templates. So when we put someone in the sequence, day 1, they get that first email. Their contact name pulls in. We have our copy. Their company employee range pulls in. We have our meeting link. And then whoever sends that email, their signature puts in right here at the bottom. So we can build templates and sequences for our entire sales team to use. When they send the emails, it looks like it comes directly from them. We also have analytics on individual open clicks, replies, rates right there. And we can add A/B tests. So if we wanted to test subject lines in this first send, and maybe the second send, we're going to test copy variations, images, putting videos, putting links in there, we can test all of that. And we'll always have side-by-side comparison of what's performing better. So this sequence, day 1, we have an email. We're going to delay 3 business days. And then I want a more custom email. So this is a manual email task. I may put some copy in here, but I want Leah to go in there, grab all the insight from LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and give a message here that's crafted and directly to the point of, we know your business, we can help, here's why. If still no response in there, they're not booking a meeting, they're not having any action, wait 3 more days. There's a task for Leah to call. This sequence will not continue until Leah marks it, yep, I've done that call. Then they'll go back in and we have a LinkedIn request on there, add them there. We can keep adding to this step by step by step. The other sequence type is a dynamic sequence. Works in a similar way. We still have the traditional automated outreach. Emails we'll send, we'll wait 2 business days, another email gets sent out, 2 business days, another email. We can put tasks in here as well. But we have a new piece here, which is the signal that we want to go from automated to manual. We want the rep to lead this outreach here. We can customize our signal. So if we send 3 emails and they open all 3, we want the rep to take over in this process. We send 3 emails, want them to click on 2, move it over to the rep. We can customize how many here. We can turn this on and just look at clicks. Completely customizable. Once it switches over from our automated sequence, so say we send 2 emails and they click on both, immediately generates a task for Leah to call. And also email here, or maybe we'll put a delay on here, but we have our new sequence flowing through here. Just like the other sequence, we have reporting on each step, but we also have funnel level reporting. So hopefully Leah is going to Sales Navigator. She's finding these contacts. She's calling them. They're immediately answering and they're creating a deal and closing immediately. That would be amazing. That's probably not the case. We need to track this over the lifetime. And so we have this step down approach. We can see our quality, our engagement. Do we have the correct email addresses? Are they unsubscribing? How are our individual steps performing? Every time we have this rep-led outreach, our meeting rate is way higher. Okay, let's make a new sequence where we can incorporate that. So it's very important that we have visibility so that we have this process built in, but we can improve on it over time. I want to step over to just reporting in general. This is specific to the sequence, but in our scenario, we handed Leah over these leads and we want to know pulse of how Leah is doing in that process. Maybe it's our entire sales team. So I put together a demo dashboard here. In our demo, this top report just pulls in activity by date. So really this is just a chronological history of Leah making tasks or phone calls or having meetings. We have other teammates having their meetings on here as well. We can see how our team is performing. We can segment this to specific teams. So if I want just the sales team, just customer success, everyone, calls, emails, notes, tasks, and so on. Are we busy? Contacts as they come in, are we working them? Do we have existing contacts we're working? Are we creating deals? We can see our kind of funnel through here. These are more just KPIs, and we can see that we're comparing them to other time periods. Full customization. So this is the last 30 days. Compare that to a year ago, that last 30-day process. A little bit lower, we have our journey reporting. So this really is the funnel. But what I love about HubSpot's journey reporting is a traditional funnel, you have to hit every step to go through. And you'll see in RevOps, there is a huge gap where, for some reason, contacts, deals, they'll skip steps. We'll miss data in there. The journey reporting, we can put different steps in there. So you'll see this email piece is broken into 2. This is emails delivered. This could be a sales email. This could be a marketing email. I want that step tracked in here. So I want to track, we have a contact, we sent them an email, they booked a meeting, that led to a deal, that led to a customer, but it could just be that we have a contact and immediately we have an opportunity right there. It could be that we have a customer, which they have to come from a deal, but a customer could be coming from an email initially. It allows us to see what journey are most of our customers going on. We can add in more analytics in here for average deal size, time to close. We'll see how long this conversion actually takes and just make it more efficient over time. And then just to wrap up our reporting, I just have a basic reporting of our pipeline, how many deals we have in our stages, and then the amount. I could add in here average. We can add other metrics we're looking at in here, other currency, contract values. We can add it. HubSpot's reporting is very robust. Okay, I think that was everything on reporting. Leah, I'll pass it back over to you if you have any other final thoughts, but I think it's almost Q&A time.
Yeah. Thank you, Zach. And that was very insightful. And I hope everybody tuning in today was able to kind of learn a few things. Overall, when I think about effective prospecting, one of the greatest things about being in sales is that you really are almost like your own little business within yourself. You really have control over your success. And the better your prospecting, the better, like the bigger and better your success is going to be. And so having these tools, having the right stack of tools, combined together, it's really going to allow you to be the best version of yourself, really crush your sales goals in 2025 and moving forward, and really help you position yourself as a value added resource as opposed to just a salesperson knocking on their door wanting to talk about your product. You're really actually leveraging information that's out there about people, about the organizations, and using that to provide more value in driving conversations forward. And with that, Zach, if you want to move to our Q&A piece, thank
Yep.
you. Let's open up the floor.
Yeah, so we've had a question about dynamic sequences. So the viewer is asking if there's any integration you can connect while using dynamic sequences.
Interesting. Do you know what we're trying to integrate with or connect with?
Um, LinkedIn Sales Navigator.
Yeah, so we can have it doesn't inject information necessarily into the sequence there, but we can automate maybe an outbound message. So an in-mail, I think is what it's called in LinkedIn. We can automate an in-mail on there. So we could have email first, and then in LinkedIn, we want an in-mail. We can't automate the connection request, but we can make a task for Leah to go connect with this person and then have the next step in there. But yeah, we can add that in the dynamic and the classic sequence.
Okay, that answered your question. Someone is asking, what are the key prospecting metrics you should track in HubSpot?
Yeah, Leah, I'll let you start as a sales rep. What are you looking for? How are you knowing that you're on top of it? And then maybe I'll talk a little bit about back end what maybe rev ops and sales leadership would look for.
Yeah, of course. And so, the key things that I really want to look for, um, and stay on top of is, I want to look for their title. I want to see, is this somebody who's a decision maker or is this a champion? Because the way that you're going to reach out to each one, you always want to be building relationships with both sides, but they're going to be different. So you want to see their titles. You want to see what department do they work at? Maybe if there's any mutual connections. Are they a new hire? Is there any buyer intent, intent signals there, etc. You want to see anything around their specific role. So maybe who do they report to or who reports to them? You want to see, if there's any recent activity, things like that you want to pay attention to because you want to make sure that you're reaching out to the right clients and that you're capturing the right information. Trying to think if there's anything else on that. And in terms of, for follow-ups and staying on top of, I use tasks, to be honest. The reason why is because you want to make sure that you are always still following up. So let's say if I called somebody on a Wednesday, maybe I want to try them again on a Friday and make sure that I'm not missing my opportunities. I hope I answered that okay. Zach,
Yeah,
anything
and
you
then
wanted to add?
if I could put on a sales manager hat or a leadership or a rev ops hat, or what's important on the back end of that, there's always opportunity costs. So say we have unlimited prospects out there, which ones do we want to spend our time with? So we're looking for lead quality. When we engage with these leads, are they answering the phone? Are they opening our emails? Do we have the correct emails for them? Time to touch. We have these reps, they have a limited amount of time in their day. Are they getting to the leads in the right amount of time? Should I be going purchasing leads when actually we have this huge backlog? We can't get to them. Number of interactions. How many interactions with a lead does it take to close? Can I look at the lead source? Are the leads that I purchase, are the leads on the website? Where are they coming from? They all will have their own maybe average deal size, how many interactions it takes to close. So I would just want to look at all of these metrics so that I can be most efficient with the resources I have, whether that's spending money on ads or my internal reps spending their time prospecting, doing research. Let's just be as effective as possible and have the most ROI.
Okay, thank you, Zach. Another question is asking about the prospecting list that you may be using. So what are some ways you can refine my prospecting list using HubSpot's filtering tools?
Zach, that gets right into the filters on the views. If you want to take that one there.
Yeah. So we can only filter down what information we have. So it's very important when we are getting inbound leads. If we're purchasing leads in bulk, if we have ads online, we want to capture as much information as possible so we can segment them. With HubSpot, I mean, the real answer is it's infinite how many ways we can segment. So we can make these company views. In my example, I just filtered on the state that they're in. With Breeze, we can enrich the data. So say we just have a list of 25 companies. For HubSpot to make a company, to have Breeze find information on it, we just need the domain. So we need the website for that company. Breeze will go out and look for number of employees. It'll look for revenue. It will find all of these insights, and then we can segment. So maybe we want to break our companies into mid-market and enterprise. We want them on this region. We want this buyer intent here. Maybe we want to segment on the number of times we've already communicated with them. So we're going to prioritize the new leads that we haven't had an interaction with. Maybe the opposite. We can also segment on if we've had deals with them previously or their current customers, prioritize them in there. So any data point we're collecting in HubSpot, we can segment on to make sure we're being most efficient.
Okay. Any follow-up to that question? All right. And then we just have one last question here. What's the best way to manage multiple points of contact at the same company?
So I'll let Leah
Oh,
answer that one, but I do want to say in the sequences, there is an option that if we're working with Equinox here, for our example, and we have those 3 points of contact. Maybe we have more, and we put all of those people into their own sequence, so they're all receiving emails. Maybe we have different sequences based on persona, so they're not all receiving the same ones, but they're all in there. If one person books a meeting, there's an option we can remove all of them at once. So if that's important in the process, or leave them all in there. But Leah, I'll let you talk as a rep how you would focus and handle that.
Yeah, thank you. So those are great points, by the way. I found for me, working within the same system is the easiest way for me to manage all these different points of contact. Because if you think about it, um, I have the phone calls, I am sending emails back and forth. I'm maybe doing the SMS text messaging with people. I might be on WhatsApp. I have points of contact from everywhere, LinkedIn, etc. And when you actually go in to say when you want to log a call or log anything, you can actually go in and log your SMS. You can log your LinkedIn messages. You can log WhatsApp messages. Your calls will be logged automatically. Your emails, if you actually connect your inbox, whether you're Outlook or Gmail, and you connect that to your HubSpot, everything will automatically get pulled in and have that feed. So it makes it a lot easier for you to see what are all these different ways that I had contact with someone. And all that you needed to do was stay within one main system. And that was like looking at HubSpot. So think of HubSpot as like the body, and say LinkedIn, Sales Navigator, Lead IQ, any other tool. Those are like your arms and legs. Does that make sense? I hope I answered that okay. And let me know if there's any follow-up there.
not that I can see. Thank you for that, Leah. And then we just had one come through right now. How can you
Yeah.
measure prospecting effectiveness at an organization level?
Zach, I'm going to let you take part of this on the reporting side because the
Yeah.
reporting is really key on that one. And I'll tee it up for you, Zach, in the sense that if you're actually capturing all this information and when you're entering people, your different contacts into your sequences, I'll let Zach kind of take this one, but you have the ability to really get that line of sight as to how many people are booking meetings, how many calls are you making, and whatnot, and how many are actually converting into, did I get a meeting out of this, and how many deals came from it. So Zach, I'll let you kind of talk further into the granular level of it.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier, kind of how we measure are we being effective at prospecting. It's the same thing. We want to maximize our ROI. And that could be monetary. We want to make sure we have the most efficient, and we spend this much on a lead and we get this much out of it. We need to maximize that channel. I don't know that that's necessarily realistic, because usually when you have a budget of how we're acquiring leads, they're going to be segmented. We want to spend this much in the digital space. We have our sales team doing this right here. They need to complement each other. So one is just having the visibility we're talking about here with HubSpot. We can see as they come in, what is the cost of customer acquisition? What is the return on this? What is the amount of time for all of these channels? In a perfect world, we know exactly how much every lead costs and how much we gain from it, and we can make a budget that maximizes that. There's so many macro things happening in there that it's really hard to make a perfect budget and make a perfect ROI, but really ROI is really the basis of it. Can we be most effective with the funds that we have and maximize the amount of deals we have out of that process?
Exactly. And then Zach, just to kind of take it a step further, um, if you actually go to your sales analytics, there are a bunch of ready-made reports, or you can build up customized ones depending what you want to look at. So there's things like you can see call outcomes. So you can look into your team overall or into your individual reps, and you can actually see what are the total numbers of calls that they had, and out of those, how many actually connected, and kind of follow. It's almost like following the breadcrumbs, if you will. You can
Yep.
look at all of their activities. So things like calls, meetings, any tasks, notes, emails, each rep had logged, etc. And you can actually see from there, you know, based on like their meeting outcomes, how many people actually showed up to meetings, how many deals were created in a week based on that. So you can actually go in and see prospecting activities like um, what are the conversion rates, what are the daily averages, et cetera. And from that, be able to kind of then look on the other side and see, well, how many deals, what's the deal creation? How many potential deals or how many meetings are getting booked per week based on that. Let's say you made 50 calls. Well, how many meetings were actually booked from a week that 50 calls were made? Um, and you can
Yep.
actually go in and see all of this and have all those analytics within there. And then it also kind of helps you in a coaching way, because then let's say, for example, you have one rep who is doing really great prospecting. Maybe you can look at, okay, what's working for them? Is there specific wording that they're using? Are there specific times of day that they're calling? What's making them successful? Whereas maybe you can pull some of that and help somebody who's maybe not doing so well. Why is it that they're not doing well? Are they getting too many voicemails? What day of the week are they calling? What time of day are they calling? Let's see what we can switch up. And having all those analytics kind of at your fingertips and being able to customize all those, that's where you'll really get the full line of sight to the success and the effective prospecting.
Yeah. And if I could plug HubSpot over CRMs, which we're a partner, obviously we love HubSpot. HubSpot's multi-touch attribution really keys in on that. So if we look at ads, we have Google ads and we have leads coming in, and we can see, oh, the cost per lead is $1 per lead. But actually with multi-touch, we can see it. They miss every call we have at the beginning. It takes 5 follow-up calls. We're spending all of this time for our sales reps, and it's wasting a lot of time that at the end of the day, they're not the cheapest lead source in there, because we're losing half of them in the process. So because we can track the entire relationship, HubSpot gives us visibility. We can see what actually is the most effective and cost efficient channel and the biggest ROI for us. Anything else? Any other questions?
I believe that is it. So anyone who's still here, thank you so much for attending. If you have any further questions, please reach out to our team. Feel free to reach out to Zach, to Leah.
Please.
Yeah, so we will, thank you so much for attending. We do have a part 2 of our prospecting series coming up next week, same time, where we're going to be focusing on phone and texting outreach tools specifically. And this is done with a tool called Kixi that we're going to be doing the webinar in partnership with. So we'll be in touch very soon with the recording of this webinar and an invite to the next webinar next week. So stay tuned, and thank you so much for joining today. We hope the information, the demo, and the tools presented were valuable.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah,
Huge
Thank you
shout out
to
to
Zach
everyone
and
who
Leah for
attended.
sure. Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank
See
you,
you
guys.
next week.
See ya.